Welcome to our presentation uh, for suggesting a center of excellence or center of skills for geospatial technology to the educational institutes into geospatial technology courses, engineering courses, or simple geography courses. We suggest that every institute should have a research and development center or a center of skill or center of excellence in the field of geospatial technology. The main purpose behind it, most of the students who are passed out from these institutes, educational institutes, are not employable, means they are lacking something which industry requires, which a GIS or geospatial industry requires. To fill this gap, let's understand why this gap is and how we can fill it. So, the most important thing is academic industry gap. They two things, the industry and the educational institute, they belong to different world actually. Their aims, objective, methodology are different. For example, the goal of industrialist is striving to uh, to survive, to make profit. So their main aim is to make profit, whereas the academic is striving for recognition. The industry thinks in terms of short range goals. They are looking for short range goals, the solutions for their projects, which was awarded to them. So the academic has a long range perspective. So the difference, industry prefer proven or low risk cost effective solution, whereas the academia is interested in new solutions with an innovation, with an creativity or innovation in it. Industry is mainly concerned with less cost with an average efficiency, whereas academia concentrate on high efficiency to maximize their recognition. So they industry and academia, they are from different world. Their objective, their goals are different. So that's the reason behind these gaps. Now we understand that how we what we are proposing, what we offer to academia, to educational institute to reduce this gap, to make their pass outs more employable. We feel that the educational institutes are the knowledge reservoir. They are the reservoir of knowledge. They disseminate that knowledge through their contents. So every year they are making content, they are improvising contents, and then disseminate that information to their students. Now, we are proposing, we are suggesting that make a think tank with the help of professors, lecturers, the management of the educational institute, along with private industry people, the people who spend their almost whole life in industry. They know the industry requirements and other sort of thing. So let's make a think tank. We will help educational institute to make a think tank which will change the whole game, which will reduce the gap. So the what the think tank will do? The think tank, because of their industrial experience, because of their industry links, they will suggest projects in such a way that the students get the practical experience, they get the environment, they get the mental thinking, what the industry thinks and how they do the projects. So once they are doing the projects, the experience gained by the project will improvise the knowledge reservoir. That means the next year students will get improvised, updated reservoir, knowledge reservoir. So to get more experience, to get more industry approach. And at the same time, the think tank will offer the research and development related projects to as a dissertation, as a private project, and other sort of thing. For example, standalone tools and utilities which will help industry to reduce their time, to reduce their cost. So that will also get updated in the knowledge reservoir, so that over a period of time, the educational institute will have enough knowledge which industry requires. So, um, and next thing is why we need to reduce this gap, academia industry gap. Because factor number one, the employability. Once we reduce this gap, once we make a think tank which will give some knowledge of industry in their projects, in their research and development thing, in their improvising the knowledge reservoir, so that will make their pass outs, their students, more employable. Industry readiness for new entrants. So they are ready, in fact, once they pass out, they are ready how to do the projects, how industry complete their project, how industry analyze the project and do project quickly with reduced cost and more profit. So second way is to reduce the gap is the importance of reducing the gap is the industry will get quicker employable people actually. Their training or the probation period will be reduced drastically. So entrepreneurship and new startups in geospatial technology. When the think tank will propose, will interact with the students, they make projects and R&D related things. Some of the student may go for startups, may go for new startups in the field of geospatial technology. So these are the three reasons, in fact, we should have, we should reduce the industry academia gap. Now, what think tank will propose, the first step, think tank will, a roadmap sort of things, what industry or think tank will do in educational institute is, number one, they will suggest to create a geospatial lab, a GIS lab, because most of the colleges or educational institute, they have the hardware. What they require is the software, and the software is very costly. But think tank will suggest an appropriate open source software by which the software cost will be negligible, will be almost zero. So they will set up a lab actually with the help of open source software and the existing hardware which they are having. In case they don't have the hardware can also be purchased or brought from outside. Now, within the geospatial lab, the students will see the survey instrument. The first thing is a survey instrument. They will see the DGPS, whether we will hire it from outside or whatever is. They will see how the survey is done. The very first step actually. They will see the total station. They will see the other survey instrument which they will be using in the industry. So geospatial skill or geospatial excellence lab actually will give them the opportunity to work as industry people works. Now the training, the think tank will also propose that to give the training to faculty members. So that open source software is there and the GIS syllabus will be there. And then faculty will also get trained to help the students actually. And then students should also get training on the open source geospatial technology. Or we can offer, that depends on the think tank's decision, we can offer paid training to students, to their students or to outsiders also. So corporate training. So the think tank will make a team, will give the training to the corporate world, outside industry or the government departments, and the university or the think tank will be paid for that. So dissertation, the students in master degree or other, they are doing project dissertation. They will give the projects which are of some importance outside. So students will do their hands-on using open source software, which the industry might use later on or improvise it. R&D related project. The think tank may also suggest that the R&D projects actually, which will help the industry also, but it will help students more to know about the industry and other sort of. There are in every state there is DST, Department of Science and Technology. They give some prototypes or research project to universities and colleges to NGOs and other things. So the university can participate through the think tank in these kind of prototypes and projects. And there is a central Department of Science and Technology in Delhi. So they can take up some of the project from them using their faculty, the industry people and students. They can develop those prototypes and other things, of course, using the open source software. They can conduct the workshop and conference. So by making a think tank with the help of educational institute management and the outside industry, so they can do lot of things, in fact, which normally educational institute don't do. The step to create a center of excellence, how we create a center of excellence. um, uh, the very first step is basically to have a MOU between the private industry and the educational management or the faculty. So first of all, a MOU will be signed between the two parties, and then they create mutually they create a think tank which will govern all the activity which is going to happen in the educational institute. So examples are R&D related projects. Examples are normal or commercial projects or prototypes. So standalone application development. The think tank may suggest that, oh, do this kind of application development using Python, using a programming language and open source geospatial software to show as a prototype to the industry and the other corporates. They can conduct the workshop and seminar. So after second step, which is a think tank, so the lot of activities can be carried out with the help of industry expert. The next is they will set up a geospatial lab, a center of skill development lab using open source software and the hardware which is there in the educational institute. So training, next thing is the training, the faculty and the student. The step number 4 is basically to giving training to faculty and other things. Paid training, they can university or the combined think tank or the combination of academic faculty and the outside industry, they can conduct the paid training outside to the corporate and other thing. Business incubator and startup, this is a very important step. In fact, university, if they wish, if they are willing to support their pass outs or they help their pass outs to have a startups, to make a startup, so they can offer their lab facilities to develop startup, and the think tank will guide them how to do the startup and other sort of thing. I'll give an example also later on this. Now, startup using, I'm giving one example actually, how and what sort of startups students can do after a university gets aligned with, university get MOU with the private parties. Now, the very first thing is we have the hardware, we have the software, we have the Center of Excellence of Geospatial Technology in the university, college or educational institute. Now, what startups one can start, a student can start? Student can start a customization. Once they have for example, a QGIS, an open source geospatial technology, they can customize it for example, irrigation department. They can customize pressing the button. They will have the base map, they will have the irrigation department and other application or other algorithm which an irrigation department required. They can take the platform, open source platform, and customize it and give them a customized solution. So that is the first sort of startup. In fact, they can charge money, they can do whatever they wishes. Any startup, in fact, will do. They can show the prototype and other sort of thing to the corporate. So the beginning of the startup, actually, with the help of think tank and other thing. Now, standalone application, while they are not having any order, while they are not having any work, they can work on the open source software and develop some standalone application for identifying the nearest ATM, identifying the nearest petrol pump, or any sort of thing which they think of that it may have the value later on to the private industry. Training and support, they can start their group and give training and support to online trainings to students and other things, so they can make money. So that's the startup actually. Once they have the knowledge, once they have the help of a think tank, and university offers them to use geospatial lab for their startup. So they need not to invest initial money in startups. They can see which direction their startup goes, and then later on they can part from the university and start their own business, own their startup. For example, use of geospatial technology in crime. I'm giving this one example. So what sort of application, what sort of client, what sort of prospects they have, so if they starting a startup actually. They can go to the police department, they can go to the crime department or irrigation department. I'm just giving an example of police department. They can tell them that for effective resource planning, a startup can tell a police decision maker that police can effectively do the resource planning. So manpower placement according to the weighted requirement. The police has a lot of requirement in their jurisdiction, in their area. So they can weight each and every requirement, and then as per the requirement, if they are 50 personnel or 70 personnel, and the requirement is 100 personnel. So how effectively they can allocate the personnel or the resources that they are having. So GIS can help them. A startup can make them convinced that if they are using this kind of software, their personal placement, their manpower placement, day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, or month, whatever their requirement is, they can do with the help of geospatial technology. Online tracking of police personnel, they can suggest that whatever the mobile patrol and other people they are having in the field, they can have a GPS and they can see on the control room that which ID or which patrolling vehicle is moving and other sort of thing. So they can offer there are many examples of the application or solutions, but these are some of the examples. Or if they are not interested in manpower planning, or they are not interested in seeing the people on the map, moving people on the map, so they can suggest, they can offer that geospatial mapping of district police stations. So all the police stations they can map and make a Thana information system. They can have all the entities and attributes along with that, and put it on a map and with a geospatial platform, so they can see their assets, their personals, their hotspots, the areas, and other sort of thing. So that means that means the startup can offer various departments, irrigation department, police, transportation, and many others, in fact, that this kind of application, or we can prototype, we can develop it for you, and then you can buy it, you can give us the order for customization, for new application development, or whatever is your data preparation and others. So these are some of the examples actually that industry people, once tie up with a educational institute, can offer these kind of service. Thank you very much. Thank you.